So I like what I see when I'm looking at me when I'm walking past the mirror. Don't stress through the night at a time in my life. Ain't worried about if you feel it. Got my head on straight, I got my vibe right. I ain't gonna let you kill it. See, I won't change my life just fine.
Hello, and welcome to A Seat at the Table. I'm Deneen Milner. Nearly 44 million Americans suffer from mental illness every year.
I'm Christine White. Mental health affects all of us, no matter race or ethnicity. But African Americans are half as likely to get help than whites.
And I'm Monica Pearson. Black women are known to take on the role of superwoman, tackling the needs of everyone and everything. Take a look.
So does everyone, the whole world. Always makes me feel I'm not right the way I am. Sam wanting me to be the mother, my clients wanting me to be a hero. I can't be all those things. I can't be strong all the time.
Wow. Whew. I can feel that.
When it aired, I felt that deep on the inside, because that's what we're constantly called on to do, right? To take care of everybody, everything. Forget yourself. It's what we've all been raised to do when we're watching our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunties, all of them just looking out for everybody but themselves.
But my mother taught me very early. My mother said one thing: you cannot be all things to all people, so don't try. And if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of everybody else. So my mom taught me very early, as a single parent, working a full-time job, taking care of me, her brother, and her mother, that she would set time aside just for her. In other words, she would tell me, Monty, if I'm in the bathroom with the door locked, unless the house is burning down, don't bother me. Because she said, that's where I am taking a hot bath. I got, a beer. She was a beer drinker.
Right.
I've got a beer, and I'm relaxing. She taught me how important it was, because mental illness runs in my family.
Oh, wow.
She taught me how important it was to make sure you take time to reboot. I get a manicure every 2 weeks, pedicure. I get a massage every 2 weeks. And I do it in order not to kill people.
She said, you want to stay alive?
Yeah, I gotta let go. And that's the way I let
It's
go.
good that you had someone to show you that. I think that growing up, I believed, and my idea of what it was to be a woman included being all things to all people. And it wasn't until I read When Chicken Heads Come Home to Roost, where she said, I'm not going to be the strong Black woman anymore. I'm hanging up that cape, that I thought, okay, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay for me to put myself first, because even with men and my father, who, God bless him, really believed in the strength of Black women, defined us in a way that was, that made me think that I had to live up to this, almost
This
impossible standard
right,
of like being all things to all people. And when I realized that number one, we're human, we have to acknowledge our humanity. That's when I made the decision that I was going to make sure I have conversations with my girlfriends, with my aunts, about how I was feeling and processing things. And that led me on a couple occasions to go to see a mental health professional, just to have someone to talk to about the things that I was dealing with in my life, to really have a gut check about, like, is this normal? Are these thoughts in my mind, different from what everyone else deals with? Am I the only one? And I think that loneliness and feeling like what you're going through and being the only one is what really drives people, even deeper into depression.
Right. I don't think that I ever suffered from depression. But then there were times when my friends who did suffer from depression and who have taken a public role in letting Black women specifically know, hey, you may be suffering from it. There were key things that they were saying, and I was like, oh,
right,
okay.
Right.
Wow. I don't think that I'm clinical, but I can see at some of these talking points that, maybe I have to go see somebody, or maybe I need to make some changes. I mean, everything that I've ever done has been sort of making sure that I hit the ideals that other people had for me.
Right.
Go to school, make sure
Right.
you got A's, make sure you're in honors classes, go to college, get out, find a man, have babies, but make sure your career is straight.
Right.
Let me answer to my husband. Let me answer to my kids. Let me answer to my boss. And it's like, when do I get to answer to Deneen?
Right.
Wow.
Right? And that did not happen until I hit my 40s, and I hit a wall. I couldn't handle it all. And so you know what I did to give myself a break? I hired a trainer.
Oh.
My heart. Cliff Boyce, he's a trainer here in Atlanta. And I started working with him. He's older than me. And I think that was important for me to work with him because he understood how all of that stress was affecting me and helped me to use that hour and a half that I would work out with him to talk, so that he would listen to me, he would give me advice, and the whole time I'd just be pumping iron and, jogging and doing what I had to do to get my body right. And then it was like, oh, I look cute. Let me go ahead
And it works.
it works.
And
And I have a friend who, listens to me without judgment and helps me deal. He helped me deal in a way that even my own girlfriends couldn't help me deal, because
Yeah.
whatever I said in his ear stayed there.
Stayed there.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was super helpful to me.
Well, I know that I did seek therapy when I was going through a divorce. And I can remember thinking, I'm going to lose everything I have because this man is going after everything that I have because he has said to me, I want to continue to live the way I lived with you. And the thought that everything I had worked for, that it would affect my daughter and my mother, sent me into a tailspin. And that's when I said, I need help. I not only talked to my minister at my church, but then I actually sought out a therapist who helped me see what I was looking at and how my fears, no matter what they were, that I could walk through it, talk through it, and fight through it.
There it is.
And then I got a really good attorney, and it all came into being. But what I also did during that time, because of the divorce, I got therapy for my daughter because I thought it was important for her to realize that because the marriage was breaking apart, she had nothing to do with that.
Right.
That it was between the two adults and nothing to do with her. But I found all my girlfriends were going, well, why are you going to therapy? I said, because I need help. You're not a trained psychologist.
Right.
I need somebody who's going to help me walk through this time in my life that to me seems impossible. I really didn't want to do harm to somebody. I wasn't worried about hurting me, but I was worried about hurting him.
Well, we all deserve that level of self-care and that
absolutely.
therapy. And I hope that Black women take away from this conversation that you deserve.
You
It's
deserve
not
it.
something that you have to be ashamed of. You deserve to have someone.
It doesn't mean you're weak.
Yeah.
And so many of us think that by asking for help, you saying you're weak. No, that's where your strength
That's where
comes
Exactly.
from.
Because you learn how
Precisely.
to handle, you take tactics and learn different ways to really handle your emotional health. It's important.
And exercise helps a lot.
And exercise helps a whole bunch. We've got to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll be joined by a music executive with her own story of tragedy and triumph.
The struggle, or the Black struggle, is so real. We ain't got time to be depressed. We got to go to work tomorrow. What am I gonna do if I'm dead? Like, I gotta go to work. Somebody gotta pay these bills. Somebody gotta watch these kids. Somebody gotta take care of, Black women, we take care of everybody in the household.
Yeah, and there's also shame just in admitting something's wrong. I also think we feel like mental health issues aren't something that affects our race. We're like, oh, depressed, that's white people. We don't get depressed. We don't get, we think we don't kill ourselves, and commit suicide. So I think there's just a real disconnect there.
Welcome back to A Seat at the Table. We are joined by my good girlfriend, music industry veteran, Shanti Das. Shanti lost her father due to suicide and is now helping others with her story who are suffering with mental health issues.
Shanti, you were just 7 months old when your dad killed himself, but we no longer call it committed suicide. We say
completed.
Why is that change?
So when you say committed, it tends to denote a criminal act. And so the mental health field is trying to take that criminal act away, because we know people are sick and they're suffering when they take their own lives. And so it's a better way to handle it and talk about it.
Now, you were just 7 months old, but how did his suicide affect you?
So a lot of people think, oh, you didn't know your dad, so it must not be that big of a deal, right? But it was really tough for me growing up in an African-American family because my father actually was from India. So my mom's Black, my dad was from India. And we didn't talk about, anything in terms of mental health. It was also taboo. We didn't go to therapy as a family, so it was difficult. And I buried all of my feelings, and I became angry. I didn't even want my mom to mention my dad's name. Wow. And so I just kind of buried my feelings and didn't talk about it for a long time.
But when did you decide you needed help?
It was when I was successful working in the entertainment industry, living in New York City, and I was like 31 years old, and I was very stressed out with my job situation, and I started getting depressed, and I uttered the words, you know what? I should just kill myself. And that terrified me because I always felt like if my father did it, would it be something that I would consider? So I was 33 when I first went to therapy and forgave my father.
Oh, wow. Tell us about Silence the Shame.
So Silence the Shame was born in 2015. I was doing an interview on our local radio station here in Atlanta, and it was like God just kissed me on the cheek and the words just rolled off of my tongue. But 2015 was also the year that I suffered from a deep depression and considered taking my own life. I had planned out my funeral, figured out how it would affect my friends and family, and I didn't want to die, I just wanted the pain to go away. And so I just started, I felt like God was bringing people into my life, and so I met other mental health advocates and women who wanted to support people, especially communities of color. And so we started this mental health awareness movement to peel back their layers of shame and stigma around mental health and to get folks to start talking about it.
Right.
I mean,
be okay with not being okay.
Right.
Tell us about what has driven you to change your entire life and start on this path.
Yeah, so one is I'm here, I'm alive.
Right.
God gave me the ability to have that second act in my life, if you will. As you know, I had the storied career in entertainment, but I feel like I'm doing my most important work now. And when I started opening up on social media and seeing the number of people that were commenting, whether it was a direct message or a public message for everyone to see, I was like, you know what? This is my ministry, this is my calling. I have to be okay with it. And I'll be lying if I didn't say that sometimes, I see my other peers who are still doing wonderful things in entertainment and going, Lord, what am I doing? I never wanted to be this poster child for mental health, but so many people are suffering in silence. And so, as you can see from whether it was Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain's recent suicides, think about the other thousands of people that are going
Don Cornelius.
Absolutely.
We always say that Black people don't commit suicide, but we do.
certainly do.
So how do you determine when it is a mental health issue where you need to get help?
Well, we all have bad days, right? Good and bad days. And so sometimes if you feel like your normal self-care and regime is not doing the trick and you're finding yourself where you're hopeless, you're not wanting to be around your other friends, your normal daily routine is being affected and you can't really break out of that anxiety and depression. And like me, there were days I didn't even want to get out of bed.
Right.
When you physically, if you ever heard someone say, I physically could not get out of bed,
Right.
pay attention.
Right.
Listen to that person.
Right.
Because when you physically don't have the strength, something is wrong.
Right.
And something is taking a hold of you mentally, and those chemical imbalances are there. And so you may need to see a therapist or a psychiatrist who is a medical doctor that can prescribe medication. We just have to be okay with going to see the doctor. If you have a heart attack or diabetes, you're gonna go and see your doctor.
But what if you
What's the
don't have insurance? So many people, one, they're afraid.
Yep.
They don't have the money.
They self-diagnose.
And they self-diagnose. So
self-diagnose.
what are the things available where you can get help?
So first and foremost, if you feel like you're really in a crisis and you feel like you're going to bring harm to yourself, you can call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is 1-800-273-TALK. Also, there is an organization called the Crisis Text Line Organization, and we have a key word. You can text the word silence to 741-741. It's confidential. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can text back and forth with a crisis counselor, and then they will put you in touch with someone in your area. Also, if you go to a hospital, they can't refuse you treatment. Most of our larger hospitals do not have a huge psychiatric ward or department, but they do have some beds available, and then they can refer you out. And a lot of therapists also offer services on a sliding scale, which means, you pay based on what you make. So
Yeah.
please don't be afraid, you know, and say, oh, I don't have money, I don't have insurance. I'm helping a lot of people now trying to navigate and figure it out. But it's a lot of people out there in the mental health field and community that want to help, and resources are there.
There are some things, though, that you can do outside of going to see a therapist. It took me a long time to figure out that I needed to take care of myself. That's
Well, I'm going to
self-care.
stop you there because you mentioned it. We're going to talk about self-care. As women, as Deneen say, we take care of everybody else, but we often exclude one key person, ourselves.
And I think the term self-care is just such a new age thing.
Oh,
you
it
know,
is.
our grandmamas and mamas was not talking about self-care
Yeah.
before feeding the babies or before
Yeah.
taking care of the home. There
Yeah.
was no such thing. But I think as we're evolving as a community, we're learning you got to put your oxygen mask on first before you help other people.
And we talked about self-care. I told you what my mom did and what she taught me. But I've also realized that, you know, when she said her grandmother, well, my grandmother's attitude of self-care was being very involved in the church because that got her away from the house.
Right.
And it got her
Right.
focusing on someone else.
Right.
But how do you self-care?
So it's interesting, and I tell people we all have mental health. We may not have a mental illness. So that's why self-care is so important, right?
Right.
Making sure that you can wake up every day and perform your normal activities. So for me, I like to work out. It's been proven scientifically that when you work out and you get those endorphins going, it puts you in a better mood. Also, believe it or not, I like to thrift. So I go thrift shopping.
Yeah.
A lot of people see these jackets and sweatshirts that I wear, and I kind of remix my own stuff. But it puts me in my happy place. But I tell people, whether you like to cook, sing, dance, sew, travel, do something every day for yourself.
Well, can we talk about what's not self-care?
Yes.
The opposite of when you sort of put your feelings into an activity that's not really good for you.
Oh,
Yes.
So like
Yeah.
we've talked about over shopping,
Absolutely.
over trying to profile, trying to stun on people because you don't feel good about yourself,
Yep.
or sex addictions, alcoholism, drug addictions. I know that sometimes we really do need to not ignore the emotions we're having, but find out where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
And really do some self-exploration. Get quiet. You know, and it's not always about finding distractions, although I think self-care is part of that, doing your work. Because as you said, Monica, your mom will go into the bathroom and take a bath, and that's your time to reflect on your life. And also, the other thing that has been proven to improve your well-being is meditation.
Oh, absolutely.
And I
and
journal.
yoga.
Right.
And yoga.
I'm doing yoga
but I
now,
do
too.
journaling, and I also keep a prayer book, which where I list the things I've prayed for, and then go back and look at how many I've given an answer.
I do that too.
I have a
really
little
do
prayer
that
box
too.
Yes.
right next
Yeah,
to my
I have a
bed.
manifest journal.
I love that.
And every new moon, I sit and I write down things that are going to be. It's never, I hope to
Right.
have
You
a
claim it.
TV show. It is, I am on a great TV show, a seat at the table, and it
Yes.
does well, and we get signed for a second and a third and a fourth
Yes,
season.
thank you for that word.
And it
Thank you for that
happens,
word.
right? But what I do in addition to that is on a full moon, I take all the things that I need to let go. I write them down on a piece of paper, and I take it and I burn it.
Yes,
And
that
I
works.
let it go.
Wow.
Yes,
right.
works.
And
Release
once it's on the paper, it's gone.
Yoga saved my
Period.
life. I just can't even tell you. If I did not have that physical mind connection, because working out for me for whatever reason, I couldn't get into like being on a treadmill or just running outside. I'm like, it hurts, my legs hurt, I'm gonna cough. But yoga, it's about the breath.
Yes, it
And it's
is.
about that meditation.
Absolutely.
And then I can manifest during yoga. So that's my manifestation time. So while I'm in those poses and I'm really challenging myself to stay in positions that are uncomfortable, I'm also bringing to myself all of the things that I desire in this world. And I really believe that it's just centered me in a way that I can't explain.
I love that. I just
love
started
that,
yoga.
too.
Don't think I'm weird, but another way that I find self-care, because I'm always using my brain, like it just never gets to turn off. I do laundry and I clean.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that just
But if it puts
completely
you in a better
shuts
mood,
down
that's
everything. I
okay.
put on D'Angelo and I have a good time.
But again, it goes back to doing what works for
Right.
you. And
Yes.
you touched on something like the over shopping, you know,
Yes.
the recreational drugs. Those are coping mechanisms.
Right.
And so people have very unhealthy coping mechanisms oftentimes. And so you have to make sure that you're doing something that's good for your mind, body, and soul.
Well, you know, we talked about in the beginning how your father committed suicide. In my family, I had an uncle who had a mental illness. illness, and he coped with alcoholism. So do people need to look into their family back? Because, you know, in families, they'll say so-and-so is crazy, but they never talk about that there might have been manic depression. There might have been things that they didn't know.
Or trauma.
Or trauma that they've gone through.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you should definitely take a look at your family history and see what's there. And I'm glad you brought up alcoholism, because you cannot talk about mental health and not talk about substance abuse, because it goes hand in hand. And so many people that suffer from mental health issues have challenges with substance abuse. But a lot of the mental health facilities cannot treat you until you get clean, because those medications aren't going to be able to take care of you properly if you add that other chemical and substance into the equation. And so that's why we need you to be clean and healthy to get the help that you need.
It's so incredible that some of these mental health issues show up generation after generation. My sister and I are really intentional about checking in with each other and identifying the mental health issues that we've seen in our parents, our grandparents, our aunties and uncles, and making sure that we're not passing that on to our children and that we're getting the help or the intervention that we need, because alcoholism runs in my family, depression runs in certain places in my family, and I actually have a cousin who suffered from mental illness through his early life and committed suicide a couple of years ago. And his brother was died as a result of police violence. And so that just goes to like all of the trauma that culminates in being Black, you know, in a racist society, in a sexist society. And I know that my grandmother dealt with so many issues, and my great-grandmother, that she never got to process. And so those traumas are still sort of echoing and rippling through our family. But, you know, my sister and I are in a place, I think, where we can stop it, God willing.
I like to tell people, I encourage folks to, you know, get your squad or circle of trust, if you will. So you have at least 5 people on speed dial that you can call if you're having a bad day. I don't care who you are, if you're a teenager, a young adult, a grandmother, a parent, or what have you. We have to have that circle of trust, because when I was going through my depression, I stopped talking to a lot of my friends, and I didn't really want to be that burden on anyone. Be the burden. It's okay. Make sure that you have some people that you can call when you need to talk.
I thank God for Tina, Selassie, Ida, Akila.
Is that your circle?
That is my circle. Those are my girls, and they judge nothing. I could tell them everything, including stuff that really nobody needs to know, but they are my rocks, and I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for this conversation.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like we've opened the door just a little bit for folks to be able to understand how important it is to take care of their mental health. Look at your mental health like you do your physical health.
Well, it's the same.
Right?
It's really one and the same.
It's the exact same thing.
And
And we have to start looking at it that way.
This is why I feel like this show is so important, because we're getting to reflect what the tools that Black women have used for centuries to make it through this thing we've been going through. I mean, if it wasn't for our girls, if it wasn't for the aunties, if it wasn't for the cousins, if it wasn't for my sister, and I'm gonna just shout out Nicole Peoples, Dr. Nicole Peoples, who has my back 110%. I don't want to cry, but when I tell you, I don't know. That was the greatest gift my parents could have given me. Was
you
a
about
sister.
to make me cry too, because it's
And
my sister.
Yes.
Was 8 years old when my father took his own life, and she had to bear the burden of helping my mom raise us. And she's the one who encouraged me that night to call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. She told me for years I needed therapy. Angeline Maria Das Arnold.
Yes.
I love her
Call her
dearly.
out. Yes.
And so we need that support system. And you gotta let people in. We cannot be so tough as women, you know, and so strong all the time that we won't let anybody in.
That's right.
Tell me what else you're involved in, Shanti, because Silence the Shame, I know, is really important to you, but what else?
So I am the founder of the Hip Hop Professional Foundation. As you know, I've been doing a lot of community service work for the last 8 years, and so I finally have my own foundation, and Silence the Shame is the movement underneath that. But more importantly, my book just came out.
Yay!
It's called Silencing My Shame. And so I talk about my journey and my story on the road to emotional health and wellness. And so I'm very honored to be out speaking. I'm doing a college tour, sharing my story, and doing some work with the NBA and NFLPA and some other wonderful organizations. So
Shine, sis.
All I can
Congratulations.
say to you is by coming out and silencing your shame, you are literally saving lives,
Absolutely.
particularly for professional people who feel like they can't tell their story because they think it will affect their job. They think it will affect how people look at them. And in many ways, it makes you so much stronger. So I have to say thank you to you because you've gotten people who normally would hold stuff in to just let it go because they know they can trust you. So that's it for us. Thank you so
very
much,
grateful.
Shandi
Thank
Das,
you
for
so
being
much.
with us. I mean,
you.
it was wonderful. We do have to go, but the conversation, as you know, never ends here.
Share your thoughts with us on social media.
We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest at ASATT-TV.
Thanks for joining us for a seat at the table. And in the words of Shirley Chisholm, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair.
Do it.